Call this meeting of the Duncanville ISD Board of Trustees, Duncanville Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board trustees is present and that meeting is duly called, and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Good evening. Our mission at Duncanville ISD is to engage, equip, and empower all scholars to achieve their unique potential. Okay, we'll go into closed session now. Okay, we're back from closed session. We'll move on to take action on items discussed in closed session. Do I have a motion to approve the appointment of police chief as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions, comments?
No.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. Kathleen, will you now introduce our new police chief, please, ma'am?
Good evening, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Smith. It is my pleasure to introduce to you tonight our new Chief of Police, Mr. Sergeant Mitchell Lambert. Sergeant Lambert. So we all know and love Sergeant Lambert, and so I will make this brief. I know he does not like all of the attention. So we're excited to have Sergeant Mitchell Lambert as the Chief of Police for Duncanville ISD. He brings over 12 years of experience in the law enforcement field. In the last 5 years, he's committed right here in Duncanville ISD. Sergeant Lambert has consistently demonstrated his ability to lead with professionalism, accountability, and impeccable communication, and we know and are excited for him to continue to do so as our new Chief of Police. So welcome, and we already have your name tag ready to join us, so get in your new seat. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much for this opportunity. Of course, safety is always number one, but most importantly is relationships. And I look forward to instilling the relationship with this community and making it the right one. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a jar up here. Anybody that calls him sergeant instead of chief, from now on you got to hit the kitty with $1.
Also, just for everyone, we're going to have the formal process at the September board meeting. So,
okay, we will now move on to opening ceremonies. Prayer, Janet.
Yes, good evening, everyone. If you would bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we gather here as members of this board, and we thank you for calling us together. It is our privilege and our responsibility to support, foster, and advance the kingdom. Thank you for every seat that has been filled here tonight. I pray a blessing over each mind and heart as we come to set goals, visions, and solutions to any and all situations. We ask that you bless the students, educators, and staff members abundantly throughout the new school year. We pray for overflow of wisdom and guidance over every campus. In Jesus' name, amen.
Be led in pledges by Trustee Carla Fahey.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please be seated.
We will now move into superintendent's report. It's your turn, Dr. Smith.
All right, thank you very much, President McNeely, board members, staff, and those that are in attendance. The following items I will address in the superintendent's report. The first item is to give you a sense of what enrollment looks like. Overall, of course, we just completed our first week of school. And so overall, the first day and the first week of school went really, really well. I'm very pleased overall with how we've transitioned into the school year. So I want to thank our parents and our staff, and of course the board for your leadership, for all the hard work that went into place for us to have a smooth opening all across the district. Had a chance to get to many, many campuses. I'm not done yet. I've still got a few more to get to. Several board members were on campuses, and you were able to see the excitement and the energy. It was just a great first week of school. And so I'm very, very encouraged by us getting off to a great start. Enrollment, I want to share some of those numbers there with you. I'm very pleased with where we are from an enrollment standpoint. We budgeted this year for 10,613 students. And so, as you can see, these numbers are from last Friday. It probably changed today, but from last Friday, at the close of the day, our enrollment was 11,240 students. And so we are a little over, we're close to 97% of what we projected. And so that is a good, strong indicator that our students are coming back to school. And we really are very encouraged by those numbers. It's a really, really good sign. And I anticipate that our numbers will continue to increase up through Labor Day, when a lot of our students will start to continue to come in after Labor Day. What was really encouraging was the elementary enrollment numbers. They are up slightly. And so that is exactly what we want to see. It's a good sign when your elementary numbers are increasing. And so while the ADA is what really impacts our funding, we got to get them here first. And so the enrollment is trending where we want it to be. I'll continue to monitor that and report to the board so that you know where we're trending and how things are going there. The next item that I wanted to share with you was along the lines of our vacancies. Wanted you all to have a sense of where we are as we complete the first week of school. Of course, we are committed to having a quality teacher in every classroom. I want to commend our HR department and everyone who's had a hand in helping us in this very difficult climate. We've done a lot of good work to get some good quality people in front of our students, and so staffing remains a challenge, but we are answering those challenges and continuing the work of getting a quality teacher in front of our students. At this point in time at the elementary level, with 9 elementary schools, we're sitting at 19 teacher vacancies, so that's somewhere around 2 to 3 vacancies per elementary campus. So those are good numbers when you think about where we were trending a couple of weeks ago before school started. We really closed that gap significantly. We've got 3 out of our 3 middle schools. We had 9 teacher vacancies. Out of our 3 intermediate schools, we have 4 teacher vacancies. And you see at the high school there, we have 33. So, and there's like about 300 teachers at the high school. So we still have work to do there as we have ended, of course, the first week of school. We're going to continue the work of trying to get a quality teacher in every classroom. Of course, we got to get them to school first, and so that's where our bus drivers and transportation come into play. You see we have 12 vacancies there. Our bus drivers are really, they're troopers, and you know, they a lot of times will run double runs, make double routes, so that we can get our kids to school. We also are continuing to work to close those gaps there. But when I think about where we were and the environment that we're in and where we sit as we head into the second week of school, we're making the progress, and we're going to continue to do so. The first day of school, DVille Day 1, we captured that, put a lot of photos out there to really capture the excitement of the day. I'm really pleased, a lot of positive momentum. We have a brief video that we want to share with you that really kind of targets some of the highlights from the first day of school. So if you could play the video at this time. Good morning, everyone. I am here at DHS. It's the first day of school, D-ville, day one. We're off to an awesome start. This morning, we had Mr. McDonald, the principal, and Jackson Prince, one of our student athletes. They did an interview with some of the news stations. It was a great way to kick off the day. You can check that out on my Twitter, but we're ready to go. I'm so excited. Students are coming in, very well organized. It's going to be a great year, and I'm excited for D-ville Day 1. We are now here at Alexander Elementary, and guess what? I got our board president, Phil McNeely, with me. I got Dr. Ivory with me. We're having a good time. It's a great start. But don't forget, put those photos and those pictures on our Twitter so that we can celebrate D-ville Day 1. All right, thank you. As you can see, a lot of positive momentum, great energy, D-ville Day 1. We're going to keep that going. The last item that I have is to share with you a brief report on our accountability ratings. Last Friday, TEA, the Texas Education Agency, released the official accountability ratings to school districts only, and then today they made them public. And so all of the data across the state has been made public. I want to share with you where we are at this time. So I am so pleased to say that as a school district, we maintained our B rating. You know, when I think about, I think you should give yourself, absolutely. When I think about the challenges that our teachers have been dealing with over the last couple of years, and for us to be able to maintain where we were, it's pretty amazing the work that they have done. And so I'm very pleased with where we are. All of our intermediate schools were able to have a B rating. All of our middle schools had a B rating. Our high school, Collegiate Academy, has a C rating. We've got 4 elementary schools that did not receive a rating due to House Bill 1365. That was the bill the legislature passed to allow 1 year of reprieve, basically more time for campuses that were really hit hard and impacted by COVID. And so we've already started our planning process to continue to get better. We see an A in sight for our district, and we're going to continue to work on that. But we're very pleased with where we are now, and it's really been a good foundation for us. It speaks to the systems that we have in place. It speaks to our leaders and our teachers. And so we've got a good foundation, and we're on this journey to continuously improve and get better. One of the things that I wanted to highlight is just the impact that the academic growth, one of the measures within the accountability system is showing academic growth and school progress. And so when I charted where we were in 2018, we were at 70%. 2019, we were at 73%. 2020 and 21, of course, there was no rating. And then 2022, 85%. So we've gone from 70% to 85% in the academic growth and school progress area. Mm-hmm. So those trends are really, really good for us. Also, our graduation rate had continued to increase even during the pandemic. In 2018, we were at 92.6. In 2019, 93.8. 2021, 95%. And this year, 96.8%, almost 97%. And so we're pleased with the trend and the direction that we're heading. If you could think about the progress, in 2018, we had a 73, which was a C. And then we went to work, and then that very next year, we had a B. And then the next 2 years, Of course, we endured the pandemic and were not rated. This is the first time that we've received ratings since the pandemic, and again, we were able to hold steady. So it really puts into perspective our students, our staff, everyone buying in. There were so many uncertainties and challenges that we had to overcome, but I'm just really pleased with everyone that they minimize listening to the distractions and stay focused on what we do here in Duncanville. And so we're going to continue that work. And in September, we're preparing to provide a full comprehensive presentation so that you can get a wider scope of just how we did and what these numbers mean, and then what our plan is for all of our campuses as we move forward toward that A. So very pleased with where we are now. We have a lot to build on as we move forward. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. We will now move to recognitions. We'll turn the meeting over to Connie Wallace.
All right, good evening, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Smith. As it relates to our donations, we are very excited that we had so much support from our community this year. Next slide, please. As it relates to donations for both Camp Panther and for Convocation, so many of our entities right here in Duncanville, they were very supportive and provided the donations that you see here for Camp Panther. And then on the next slide, you'll see donations for Convocation. In fact, one of our teachers won $500 cash at Convocation and was really excited about that. So we are grateful for the generosity of our community. And this concludes my report on donations. And we will start with our commendations at our next board meeting in September and recognitions. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we move on to communication from citizens to discuss pending agenda items before the board. There are none, so we'll move on. Okay, we're going to consider approval of consent agenda items, and all of these can be voted on or acted upon at the same time by the Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we move items 8A, 8C, 8F, and FG to the consent agenda items.
A second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to amend the agenda, the consent agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes 7-0. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? Comments?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the consent agenda items.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes 7-0. Okay. We move on to the action agenda. 8B, instruction materials, proclamation 2022 textbook adoption. Dr. Jordan, it's your turn.
Okay. Good evening, President McNeely, Board of Trustees, Dr. Smith. Last month, Ms. Bynum shared with you Proclamation 2022, which is our textbook adoption for our secondary health and physical education. Last month, next slide, we reviewed 3 instructional materials that we could purchase. As a reminder of the 3 instructional material resources that we reviewed, only one was approved by the State Board of Education. So when the Instructional Material Allotment Committee and the Textbook Committee got together, of course, they looked at all 3 resources, but we really wanted to make sure that the resource that we chose was aligned with our PE and health TEKS, was reflective of our students that we have here in Duncanville ISD, and reflective of our community values. So in addition to waiver being the one that was approved by the State Board of Education, our community and our committee felt like it was the best selection for us for Duncanville. And so I am presenting to you the option of purchasing 6 sets of intermediate campus materials. These will be sets that are in-class sets, 7 sets for our middle school campuses, including STEAM, and then 7 sets for Duncanville High School, with a total of $58,623. Next slide. So there's the recommendation that we approve the purchase of Goodhart Wilcox Texas Health Skills for our Proclamation 2022. I am happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Dr. Ivory?
I have a question. Can you talk to me a little bit about, I know it's for health PE, so are the textbooks going to be used in the health classes?
Yes, the textbooks will be used as part of our health curriculum in the health classes.
Okay, so not the PE classes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the purchase of instructional materials from the Goodhart Wilcox as recommended by the Proclamation 2022 IMAT Committee at the cost of not to exceed $58,623?
So moved.
Second.
All in, any questions? All in favor, raise your, passes 7-0. Okay, thank you, Dr. Jordan. We now action, let's see, we moved C, 8D, resolution to convene the School Health Advisory Council to recommend the curriculum materials for instruction related to the prevention of child abuse, family violence, dating violence, and sex trafficking. Dr. Halaska.
Thank you. Good evening, President McNeely, trustees, and Dr. Smith. Tonight I'm sharing with you a resolution requesting that we convene the School Health Advisory Council to consider curriculum materials for the instruction relating to the prevention of child abuse, family violence, dating violence, and sex trafficking. In the last legislative session, Senators West and Huffman co-authored Senate Bill 9, which outlined the requirements for instructing students on these topics. The intent of the bill is to help reduce the number of young people that are being forced or lured into sex trafficking, which often results from violent family and dating relationships. As part of the legal requirements, this must be taught at least once in middle school and again in high school. This is not an opt-out, but instead an opt-in for parents. In order for students to participate, their parents must opt in through signed consent. Per this resolution, and as required by law, the School Health Advisory Council, or SHAC Committee, will consider the curricular resources and hold 2 public meetings. The board will be presented the recommendation before instruction takes place. The SHAC will consider various options, including both virtual and in-class options. Senate Bill 9 requires that instruction begin during the 22-23 school year. Therefore, we are targeting instruction for later this spring in March through May. As you can see from this timeline, our plan is to have a public meeting in September and in November before bringing the recommendation to the board in January. From January through February, we will gather parent permission based on the option selected before implementing in March. Therefore, it is the recommendation of the administration that the board adopt the resolution provided which convenes the School Health Advisory Council to recommend curriculum materials for instruction related to the prevention of child abuse, family violence, dating violence, and sex trafficking. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Dr. Avery?
I have a question.
Sure.
The curriculum, the guided lessons, is there a curriculum for that? Does the state put something together, or is that our responsibility?
That would be our responsibility. The state their statement is that they don't recommend any of the curriculum, that that's a local decision in regards to which curriculum to utilize.
So you'll use the committee to put the guided lessons together?
Yeah, well, they won't necessarily put the lessons together. What we will provide them are various resources that we could potentially select, they could potentially recommend. And so we're looking at various options from, we'll give them a chance to look at Safe Schools, a chance to look at the Good Heart Wilcox, that they also have a module there that could be utilized. There are other curriculums out there that are already created that we will show them for them to select from.
But all of our counselors will be teaching the same
Oh,
curriculum?
absolutely.
And what type of support will we offer the counselors to be able to do the guided lessons on these things?
Well, our Director of Counseling, Ms. Shayla Pratt, she will be the one to make sure that they receive training from whichever vendor or curriculum that we choose. They will provide that training, and we'll make sure that our counselors are trained accordingly.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve that the board adopt the resolution convening the School Health Advisory Council to recommend a curriculum materials for instruction in relating to the prevention of child abuse, family violence, dating violence, and sex trafficking?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? None? All in favor? 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Laska. Dr. Bigby, you thought you were gonna get off tonight.
I know, you
It's your
you
turn.
almost got me off, and guess I didn't pay you enough. Good evening, President McNeely, Board Trustees, Dr. Smith. The state of Texas requires that before we can have a tax rate hearing and you can set the tax rate for the next year, that you have to set the date for the tax rate hearing and setting of the tax rate. We're recommending that you set the date for September 19th, which is the regular scheduled September board meeting. By law, we have to have it set by the 21st of September. So that's about as late as we can do that. So we'd recommend that September 19th is the date for the tax rate hearing and for setting the tax rate.
Do I have a motion to approve the board moves to set September 19th, 2022 as the date for the tax rate hearing for setting the tax rate for the 22-23 school year?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Thank you.
Passes 7-0. So you got off easy tonight. Well, that's what we're gonna table, right? Okay, information, we'll move on to information, and we will, no, wait a minute.
No.
I'm sorry. Where are we? I'm lost. Oh, okay, so we are moving to, information 9, item 9A, we will table to a later date. Dr. Galaska, you should have just stayed up there.
Well, good evening again, President McNeely, trustees, and Dr. Smith. In accordance with Strategic Goal 2, under Students, Families, and Community Connections, tonight we're pleased to share with you our back-to-school COVID update. As you heard from Dr. Smith earlier this evening, our enrollment numbers they're looking good for this time of year. We're slightly under our projections, but this is not unusual and typically grows as we move further into our first month of school. As we look at our trend data, you can see that last year we went up slightly, and we anticipate the same thing this year. Obviously, Duncanville ISD is a highly sought-after district, which is why we have 1,055 approved limited open enrollment transfers. Limited open enrollment transfers are granted to those students who live outside of our boundaries, have regular attendance, good behavior, and passing grades. Transfer students that were submitted after the transfer applications that were submitted after the submission date of July 15th are still under review, so we do anticipate that this number will increase slightly. As our students and staff return this year, we will continue to be monitoring the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases. Currently, our numbers are low. However, we do anticipate that there will be a slight increase briefly as students come back together in classrooms and in groups. With COVID cases being something that, of course, is ongoing, we want to ensure that we are still adhering to our safety protocols to help prevent the spread in our schools. Therefore, we will continue to track and monitor positive cases and quarantine as needed in accordance with the CDC. Our teachers and campuses are also equipped with hand sanitizer, PPE, and our e-misting hand sprayers to ensure safe and clean learning environments. We are also continuing to provide rapid testing to students and staff as a means for screening and diagnosing positive cases. Although many of our practices are aligned with what we have done for the past several years, there are some areas in which we'll be making some modification to align with the CDC recommendations of de-emphasis. This will start with the elimination of campus-wide notifications for positive cases. We will still communicate with families individually in the event of symptoms and when there's a need to quarantine, and we will continue to, of course, keep you updated as a board. We will also adjust the level of our protocols based on case data. As cases rise, so will our prevention practices. This includes the nightly e-misting. This will be done on a more periodic basis and focus on those targeted areas unless we see cases starting to rise, and then we'll increase our e-misting. We will also do the same with contact tracing. This will take place when we see our numbers increasing or clustering in areas. Over the past several years, we have been fairly lenient in regards to student attendance due to COVID. This year, we will return to our standard practices of students being expected to be in attendance for 90% of days in order to receive course credit or for promotion. In special circumstances, our attendance committees can make exceptions, but this will be rare. And finally, with our reduced numbers and the change in requirements regarding COVID notifications, we will no longer maintain a public dashboard on our website, although our cases will still be tracked, and of course, we will still keep you informed of our cases. I'll now turn it over to Ms. Kathleen Brown to discuss our staff COVID numbers.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Smith. I will now provide an update for you on our staff COVID-19 protocols and our numbers. Over the last month, we've continued to see positive COVID-19 cases in staff. We are averaging about 10 to 12 positive cases per week. A few changes have been made to our COVID-19 protocols to align with the CDC and the de-emphasizing plan related to schools and positive COVID cases. For the 2022-2023 school year, the quarantine time for staff like students has decreased to 5 days. We too are using the COVID-19 calculator, and it is located on the CDC website to communicate with staff about the quarantine timeline. Staff are asked to wear a tightly fitted mask upon their return in alignment with the CDC guidelines as well. The updated protocol has proven to be successful and appreciated by our staff. Although the question of whether or not the district plans to give additional days this year frequently comes up, we have seen that the decrease in the number of quarantine days has helped with this tremendously. To put this in perspective, the state requires that the district give staff members 5 state days each year. Duncanville ISD is very generous in matching the state by also giving staff 5 additional local days annually as well. And when looking at data from surrounding districts, many districts close to us give 2 to 3 local days. And so our staff members start the year with 10 days each year. So we appreciate your continued support and generosity related to matching days that the state gives. And although we are no longer posting that external dashboard, we are also continuing to monitor our COVID-19 data internally. And we are continuously adding to our list of frequently asked questions that are available to our staff internally, because that helps them to stay abreast of those changes as they come. Next slide. As related to staffing, we have made great progress, but we still have vacancies at all levels, as discussed earlier this evening. We are continuing to implement our innovative plan to the greatest extent possible, as well as constantly brainstorming new ways to meet the challenge of the staff shortage. For example, as you're aware, we've hired full-time substitutes who are working toward obtaining their teacher certification. And we are also looking at digital platforms like we are using Edgenuity, as well as the option that was approved this evening through the consent agenda, Elevate K-12. Hot off the press, I would love to share with you our newest innovative option in Duncanville. It's called DVille Up Program. It's Duncanville Ultimate Program for Teachers, and this is a teacher apprentice program. So individuals who are selected for this program in the district would need to have an associate's degree or equivalent hours at a minimum. They'd have to be willing to obtain a bachelor's degree and willing to obtain their teacher certification as well. The starting pay for the apprentice program would be $43,000, which is in line with our pay grade of IS5. And the program would truly give us an opportunity to continue our Grow Your Own. You'll remember a few years ago we had the Grow Your Own stay-at-home program. So this is our new option, and so plans are underway to solidify partnerships that would be able to provide discounted tuition for those that are in the DVille Up Apprentice program. So we are truly all in Duncanville ISD. We know no matter the challenge, with your support, the vision of our superintendent, district leadership, and the commitment of our staff, there's nothing that we can't accomplish together, because together we all win. I'd be happy to answer any questions you all have at this time.
Any questions?
All right.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Yes.
Yes.
So, in reality, one of our collegiate students has an associate bachelor, could turn around right after graduation and be a teacher as long as they're going toward their degree and qualify for that. So you could actually be a graduate one year and start teaching the next.
Yes, and not
From
a
Duncanville High
certified
School.
teacher,
No, but no,
in a
but
in a
the
position.
part of the
Absolutely.
the 43,000 and
For
still go to
43,000.
school, and that's pretty cool.
So trying to grow our own, we'll be partnering with our future educators at the high school as well, and really teaching them about the apprentice program and the options that they'll have to get that on-the-job training. We have several of those students who will go to UTA or campuses that are close by, where they can still be here in Duncanville with us. So
Okay.
we're
Thank
excited.
you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. We'll move on to information discussion item C, summer learning update. Dr. Jordan.
Good evening again, President McNeely, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Smith. It is my pleasure to provide you just with a summer learning update. We were challenged to redefine summer learning, right? We've been talking about the COVID learning loss, but changing our narrative and making the COVID climb. So I'm so excited to announce that this year, Duncanville ISD students and staff had an epic summer. We had a variety of enrichment, post-secondary readiness, and advanced academics, intervention, and then credit recovery camps. Next slide. So throughout the summer, we've been hosting a variety of different students. We wanted to make sure that our students knew that Duncanville ISD was invested in them. I'm happy to report that we had over 190 early childhood students with us. That's pre-K, 420-plus elementary students with us this summer, 433 intermediate, 339 middle schools, and 1,387 high school students. So our summer was epic, and we were able to provide learning opportunities for over 2,700 students. And when we compared this to our last few summers, this more than doubled the amount of students that we served. Next slide. In addition to investing in our students, it was also important for us to build capacity in our teachers and our staff. So we kicked off our first professional learning conference in June. It's called Duncanville U. Teachers could volunteer their time to attend a variety of different sessions. We had over 50 sessions offered those 2 days, and we are happy to report that we had 190 staff members in attendance at Duncanville U. Next slide. This concludes the information that I would like to share with you. I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
I love the COVID climb. That's good. Very good.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
This just impresses me a lot. I'm just so happy that this was done and that it was epic in your terms, and the numbers speak for themselves, that the participation was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to communication from citizens. Don't have any, unless y'all want to stay another hour. This meeting's adjourned.